Grandpa stole his first buggy in 1892. I met your grandma pig slopping in 46.
Oh, every Christmas we'd visit my Uncle Fred in prison.
Hey, it is great to be back. A little post-RootsTech talk today on Extreme Genes, America's family history show, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your host on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. And this segment is brought to you by FamilySearch.org. It is so nice to be back. Boy, what a great experience at RootsTech just a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to be talking about that later on. David Allen Lambert, of course, is going to be here in a few minutes. We're going to talk about what's happening in the field of genealogy, as usual, their Family Histoire news. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of the incredible things that happened at RootsTech that you're going to want to hear about. Whether you were there or not, it kind of gives you an idea, if you're interested in family history, some of the things that can happen, that do happen, that you can make happen. So we'll delve into that later. And then after that, we're going to talk to one of the beneficiaries of one of the most incredible things I have ever heard of, and it happened at RootsTech. Her name is Emily Stanford Schultz. She actually works for Family Search. I'm not even going to spoil it. You're going to have to wait and hear what happened here. It's coming up a little bit later on in the show. And of course, Tom Perry will be back answering some of your questions on preservation. Right now, let's check in with David Allen Lambert. He is the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. Hi, David. How are things? I shouldn't even ask. I already know. You guys are getting flooded. You're getting snowed out. You've had a lot of issues, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm thinking that I might have to move the satellite office for NEHS to, like, Florida or Hawaii.
Well, let's see. You've had a flooded basement. That happened during RootsTech, which was right. The very end of February and the first few days here in March. Fortunately, you were spared the loss of your furnace, which is very good. And then I saw that your front yard became a lake. Was it stocked?
It's Loch Lambert now. Yeah,
Loch Lambert, yeah.
And now it's a slush-filled lake because of the nor'easter we just got the other day. So it's very picturesque, not exactly ready for my lawnmower.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a while with that. Well, I've heard a lot of people, a lot of friends. My sister lives in Boston who've just been stuck indoors for some time as they've gone through the nor'easter and then the big snowstorm and all that. But glad everybody is doing well. And let's get on with our Family Histoire news. Where do you want to start, my friend?
Well, I was thinking, because I have all that water in my front yard, that I should put a message in a bottle and see if someone will find it.
See where it goes.
And that actually is my first story. Tanya Illman out in Perth, Australia, was walking along the sand dunes and came across an old bottle. Not just any old bottle. It had a message in it from 132 years ago. I know that you saw this story, too.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
Well, it is. It goes back to 1886 and a German ship that was trying to basically see which way the waters flowed in the oceans. And this is, they say, the oldest message ever found in a bottle. And I guess the last one that was found was something like 1934, which is insane. But what an experience for them. And I guess it didn't go that far, right? I think that bottle was dropped not too far from the Australian coast.
Right, it was in the Indian Ocean that they believe it was dropped, according to the script on the piece of paper, which still survived after all those years. You just never know what you're going to find on the beach.
That's right.
Well, our next one kind of has to do with water again. In York, Maine, one of the local police officers was doing his duty and came across a boat, probably from the Revolutionary War, that was seen at low tide for the first time in probably about 30, 40 years. It keeps on showing up, and it's a type of boat that our listeners may have never heard of before. It's called a pink. It's a flat-bottom boat, typically used during the Revolution to haul supplies, to be a merchant ship. It's still there.
Isn't that something? Every now and again, every several decades, this thing is unveiled in some storm when the tide pulls way back. And it's just amazing to me. I guess they can't really salvage it because it would just fall apart. So it just sits there and periodically gets photographed, and that's about it.
Yes, exactly. Of course, all the cargo and things are probably long since gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure metal detectors got right out to it as soon as it got exposed recently as well. Well, one boat that no one's going to use a metal detector on for practical purposes because it's 9,800 feet under the ocean is a boat found by the co-founder of Microsoft, Paul Allen, a billionaire who has now located the USS Lexington, lost since May 8th, 1942, when she sank during the Battle of the Coral Sea.
Isn't that incredible? And a lot of folks survived that attack, too, which was amazing.
They did, and I know that last year we talked about the USS Indianapolis, which, of course, the fate of those men in the shark-filled waters was just a tragedy. But this one had a little different spin. It was an orderly evacuation. In fact, some of the sailors broke into the stores of ice cream and were eating ice cream while they waited to get off the boat. And actually, the boat wasn't sank completely by the Japanese. We torpedoed it to make it sink so it wouldn't be salvaged and obviously raided by the Japanese for our technology.
Sure.
Something a little older than our typical stories is a story about Doggerland, where your ancestors may have lived. Fortunately, you can't visit it now unless you had a submarine. It's on the eastern shores of England, and thousands of years ago, it connected the landmass of England to Europe, and many ancestors lived there. And now it's known as Dogger Bank. It's a large sandbank. Dogger in Dutch means fishing boat, and it's fascinating. I found a great article, and this article you'll be able to find on extremegenes.com. Well, this really has turned into the aquatic Extreme Genes Family Histoire news. My next story is from the southern Spanish city of Cadiz, where in a wake of a recent storm called Emma, a first-century Roman aqueduct has showed up.
Wow. We got a lot of water on the show today.
We really do, and our next guest will be Aquaman.
Yeah.
Well, the next thing I want to do is obviously mention our blogger spotlight this week, and this one is Debbie Parker Wayne, who has a blog on DNA, and it's called debsdelvings.blogspot.com. And she mentioned something that you may have not considered. You've done autosomal, you've done Y-DNA, you've done your mitochondrial DNA, but have you looked at your X-DNA? Go take a peek at her blog and see what you can find out. Well, that's about all I have from NEHGS for this week, but I just want to let you know if you're not a member, you can use the checkout code EXTREME and save $20 on membership. Hope to see you in Beantown sometime.
All right. Thanks so much, David. And you're going to stick around because we're going to talk RootsTech coming up next. Here's some amazing things that happened there and amazing discoveries that took place, and that'll cover a good chunk of the show. So stick around. That's coming up next in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've worked with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client-rated genealogy firm. Call us just toll free at 1-800-818-1476 or register online to get a free estimate. Right now, you can save up to $100 on professional genealogy research. But hurry, this offer expires at the end of the month. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research. You enjoy the discoveries.
Hi, Genies. It's Scott Fisher, host of Extreme Genes, with an invitation for you to join our brand spanking new Extreme Genes Patrons Club. Now, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is where, for as little as $1 a month, Genies everywhere can take advantage of Extreme Genes rewards, such as early access to our latest podcasts, members-only bonus podcasts, acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, and special monthly live online question and answer sessions with well-known family history experts. Catch visits with genealogy stars such as David Allen Lambert, photo detective Maureen Taylor, DNA expert C.C. Moore, and many other experts and storytellers. If you find yourself craving more stories, more ideas for digging up your dead, more inspiration, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is for you. The rewards start at just $1 a month. Find out more now. Just go to extremegenes.com and click on our special Extreme Genes Patrons Club link at the top right, or go to patreon.com/extremegenes. Hey, welcome back. It's Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. And this segment is brought to you by myheritage.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. David Allen Lambert is back, the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. And it's time to report back on RootsTech. Now, I know that probably the overwhelming majority of people who listen to the show were not there. Right? It's a long way to go. It's an expensive thing. Takes a lot of time. Many of you were, and it was great to meet so many of you. To me, David, that was one of the highlights, meeting so many of our listeners. And later on in the show, in fact, we're going to have a segment with Tom Perry where we're going to actually play back a wax cylinder that we recorded on an Edison recording device that he has with some of our Extreme Genes listeners. And so you'll get to hear it. We actually had it digitized. Can you believe that? So it's going to be very fun, and we'll share that with you coming up a little bit later on in the show. So for those who are not familiar with RootsTech, it is the world's largest family history conference. It takes place every year in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the Salt Palace Convention Center. And it's got a massive expo hall filled with booths, filled with experts, filled with people selling incredible products to help you with your family history research, finding their stories, finding the people themselves. There are classes going on for 4 days. There's massive presentations on the big stage. In fact, I got to MC one of those events, which was the Innovation Showcase this year. A great honor to do 3 mini panels, basically, on DNA and preservation and records. And you can see the video, by the way, on the rootstech.org website from that particular event. What was a highlight for you at this year's event, David?
Well, I mean, I always love being able to lecture on a national level, and with 14,000 people and, lines to get into my lecture really kind of blew my mind away. It was so many people this time. I would say that meeting Scott Hamilton for the first time, that was a highlight. I know Dr. Henry Louis Gates over the past 25 years and have a chance to chat with him. And the thing for me was sitting in the opening sessions and seeing my face come up on the screen multiple times, thinking to myself, oh, I'm getting old.
Yeah, that happens. I've kind of come to the conclusion that RootsTech is becoming something of a family reunion itself, because there are so many people who come back every year, and we get to see lots of friends, and lots of people come from all over the world and make friends, and we see them again. There was one guy I met a few years ago from Germany, and I'm still in touch with him, and we only interacted a little bit over a couple of days, but, we all share that passion for family history research, and that's a lot of fun. You mentioned Scott Hamilton. He's, of course, the Olympic ice skating gold medalist. He was one of the keynote speakers there, and I got to ask him a question about the fact that in a few hours after I spoke to him, he was going to learn about his birth family, he being adopted, and I was wondering exactly how he was going to react to that. Scott, you're anticipating learning about your birth family today.
Yeah, that's going to be weird because, my mom, when she was suffering with her cancer, she basically, I just mentioned it in passing at the worst time. Like, I'm an adolescent kid, Yeah. We tend to, things come out and then we think about it. It's like, shoot, ready, aim,
Right. Yes.
Yes. Or shoot, aim, ready. So she said, no, your parents are who are there for you every day. Your parents are the ones that teach you, and your parents are the ones that are there for you under any circumstance. And it's not a biological transaction. It's a lifelong investment. You know what I mean?
So how are you anticipating this?
I think I'll be fascinated by it. I think it'll be enlightening. I don't anticipate it changing anything. It's almost like, in that way, it's really great information to have a richer and deeper understanding of my mom and dad, that raised me. That holds more weight to me than DNA. You know what I mean? So, I think it'll be interesting. I have a million questions about how they do that, and just the whole process of where did you find that? How did you get that? This whole RootsTech experience. It's like, it's like almost being like a forensic detective, right? It's like, where do you find these things and these stories? And I'm just hearing about my, great-grandfather almost drowning, and the fact that he just kept swimming in frigid water. It's like, yeah, okay, I get that.
That was a pretty straightforward answer. He wasn't too worried about what his DNA was going to show. He was more interested in the ancestry of his adoptive family because, as he sees it, that's his family. And it's interesting to me, David, because I know so many adoptees, and I've worked with many adoptees, as I know you have, and everybody's a little bit different about how they deal with those things, right?
Right, and there are some that find out their results and don't do anything with them, and they have their living mother or father that they know was out there. So it's a different experience for each person.
Yeah.
And as you know, I have a sister, Donna, who found me not by DNA, but by her birth record being open, and none of one in my family was alive to know that my mother put a child up for adoption in 1958. And, well, now we have her as part of our family, and it's like, don't even skip a beat. I'm glad I now have a sister, and I also have a 20-year-old nephew who I'm very proud of, who's in college right now. So
amazing.
It's grown my family tree.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes with genealogy, I get really amazed with the DNA companies that are out there, but the price wars during RootsTech was amazing.
Yeah.
Your living DNA, which is now on the forefront, doing Y-DNA, mitochondrial, and autosomal, a $49 test. That was amazing. That was a no-brainer. I know I bought a test. Ancestry always has a good price. It was $59.99. My Heritage was $49.99. I know that there was a special that went on with 23andMe as well as Family Tree DNA. So it was really a consumer banner day if you were buying DNA.
Yeah, I think so. Reason. Some of the lines are out the doors.
I waited till people were in sessions and wandered over from my booth with cash in hand. I'm very excited about living DNA, though, because nothing against the other testing companies. I have a British grandfather, and I never get any matches with the American-based companies, and I thought that was kind of strange. Since they're based in the UK, I'm hoping that I'll have some autosomal matches for my grandfather, who was born in England, now that they're going to be doing matching, which I think is tremendous.
Right. Now, as I recall, David, you had an experience actually dealing with a discovery relating to one of your ancestors right at RootsTech.
I did, actually. So many people at RootsTech were given a pin that had a country. They gave out 30 different copies of that pin, 150 countries, and you had to find your match. Coming back from lunch, a woman ran up to me and says, "Hey, we need to go now. Follow me." I'm like, "What is that all about?"
Who are you?
And I'm like, "Do I have a consultation that I don't know about?" She had the East Midlands pin that I did. Well, she won a coffee mug, and I won a subscription to Fold 3. I used it at work, and I really never spent a lot of time digging into it.
Well, and for people who are not familiar with Fold 3, it's a site dealing with military records, largely. I mean, there are still census records and things there, and it's owned by Ancestry. And there's all kinds of material there relating to Revolutionary soldiers, Civil War soldiers, and other military involvements.
Well, what was amazing for me is I plugged in my grandfather, who came to the States, figured I'd find something World War I related. I found my great-grandfather, not in America, but in Canada. Turns out my great-grandfather, while living in Halifax, was part of the first Halifax Volunteer Artillery Company from March 17th, 1866 to July 31st. The reason is because the Fenians in America, after the Civil War, Irish Americans, wanted to go up and capture British Canada, and there was an attempted raid on Halifax, so they had this volunteer artillery company. I'm delighted to know that I have his military record on the way. Hopefully I'll get it next couple of weeks. But I was also enlightened that because my great-grandfather in 1913 never received his medal from 1866 service, I might be getting it.
No.
So that would be amazing, yeah.
The Canadian government?
The Canadian Government Medals Department, they have proof that he never received it, and I am one of his only great-grandsons, so I'm delighted to be the recipient if they're interested in having it presented.
Wow. Wouldn't that be something? We'd have to get video of that one 150 some odd years after the fact.
You know, there's a lot of big companies at RootsTech, but there are also the smaller ones that catch my eye, and one called MyHeritageCards.com. This young lady has a company out there that produce like playing cards that you can have your ancestors' picture on one side, their genealogical information on the other, with a little bit of a chart, and it's a great way to have your family history to sit around the table instead of playing a game of cards, play a game of MyHeritage.
What fun. I like that. And the highlight for me, one of the big highlights was just running into a woman who said, you know, I was just in a meeting and we were discussing things, and a woman was there from Southern Australia named Mary. And she said the reason she got into genealogy about 5 years ago was because of Extreme Genes. And so she had come from all the way across the world to this conference in Salt Lake City because of the things she's learned on this show, not just from me, but from people like you and all the experts we've had on. And it just made me feel like, yeah, maybe we're accomplishing some of the things we hope to do and encouraging people to have that experience. And she later reached out to me with an email and said she's driving all over the country in the South, where her ancestors are from, and meeting cousins there and gathering all kinds of information. So it was pretty fun. In fact, I'm hoping to have her on the show sometime soon and talk about that experience, because she really extended her stay here in the States to do some of her own research.
One of the fun things for me was actually the after party. MyHeritage had a great 1920s party, and you and I were decked out like gangsters.
Gangsters.
And we got to see a lot of our Extreme Genes listeners, like Dave Robeson, who's a member of the Patreon Club, Melanie McComb, who's been contributing through Next Gen, Randy Seaver, and a ton of other people, all dressed like the 1920s. Yeah,
it was a good time. It is a party, and people should plan to be there next year. The dates are already up at rootstech.org. So, Dave, it's been great reminiscing with you about this year's incredible experience at the conference, and thanks for the extra time, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, my friend. Talk to you soon.
And coming up next, we're going to talk to Emily Stanford Schultz, because we're not done talking about RootsTech. She had a miraculous experience at RootsTech. You're going to hear how it happened, why it happened, what she got from it. It's all coming up next on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, in 5 minutes.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
You know, we hear about serendipity in genealogy all the time. People finding things and connecting with people in just the most miraculous ways. And I suppose you wouldn't call this a miracle because it involved modern technology. But nonetheless, you got to look at this as one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard of. It is Fisher here. It's Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. And this segment is brought to you by LegacyTree.com Genealogists. And I've got on the line with me right now Emily Stanford Schultz. She works for FamilySearch.org. Emily, it's great to have you on the show, and it was nice to meet you at RootsTech.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. I'm delighted. It was a wonderful show.
I think it was Thursday afternoon at the show, and I was just kind of hanging around checking something near where you were actually manning a Family Search booth, and we started a conversation, and you lit up and shared with me one of the most incredible stories that I've ever heard.
Yes.
And it's because of this unique app that Family Search came up with just for RootsTech, really, because I don't know that it would work so well anywhere else. And
unless you had a gathering of a lot of people.
A lot of people who are also interested in their family history who would open up this app because everybody kind of had to have it open at the same time, right?
That's correct.
So the way it worked was very simply, if you were registered for RootsTech, then you would open this app and everybody was encouraged to do it at the various sessions. And then anybody else within 100 feet, I want to say, right? 100 feet?
It was actually throughout the entire the complex, the salt palace.
Really? So maybe it was more like 100 yards or something.
Yeah, it was an electronic fence that they created around the block.
And so basically it connected you with all those people, and then this app would compare everybody's family tree from the kind of wiki family tree that Family Search has and finds who your cousins are. And it can typically go back, as we see with our DNA results, that there are far more further back than there are closer. You can get 5th cousin, 6th, 7th, all the way back to 10th or beyond. And you can actually reach out and talk to these people as you find them. So this was an amazing thing, and we saw lots of people connecting at this. And did you expect anything to come of it, Emily?
You know, I expected to have a lot of cousins in the app because my roots are here in Utah, and I expected a lot of other people from Utah who had a Family Search tree, because that's the other thing. In order to participate in this, you needed to have a tree uploaded to Family Search, which, of course, is what we're trying to encourage. So I expected to see a lot of cousins and even some perhaps that I had met, but I didn't really expect what happened to me on Thursday, so I'd love to tell you about that. So can I back up a minute and say that I was very excited to participate in RootsTech this year when I understood that they were going to make this functionality available, because I actually carry my Family Search app around with me. And for example, a few months ago, I was at a business luncheon and I brought out my app and I asked everybody to sign in at the table. And we found out that of the 8 of us at the table, that we all had some kind of connection.
Wow.
So it can be, so it can be done in these kind of settings. And it's a very wonderful way to connect with people. And like Steve Rockwood, our CEO, has said, when you know you're related, you treat someone differently. And there's just a delight in knowing how you're connected with someone. So I was already very excited going into the conference. And what they did specifically for the conference, they added a messaging feature, which is not in the normal app.
Right.
So for RootsTech, you could click on a little icon and send a message to that cousin and say, hey, cousin, let's meet up somewhere. And it was really easy for me. I just said, come to the Family Search booth because I was there the whole time.
Sure.
So I connected with several cousins, and it was delightful. But this cousin, Catherine, she sent a message in the app and said, are you Sedley's granddaughter, Sedley Stanford, who was indeed my grandfather? And I told her yes, and I could meet her at the booth. And she came to the booth, and I was able to.
Now, how close a relation, Emily? How closely was she related to you?
She's my third cousin.
Okay. Had you met her before?
I had never met her before, and she expressed to me that she'd not known how to contact her Stanford cousins because she has a Stanford connection, but it's several generations back, and she's been focused, I guess, on more of her other family history. But she said she was delighted to meet me because her grandfather and my grandfather were first cousins. That's how we're first cousins. So, and they had corresponded about family history. And she had in her possession some photographs that she thought she would like to return to me because she would like them to go to the Stanfords.
So this is something your grandfather fired over to her grandfather, his first cousin.
Sure. Well, actually, it's that's what I thought at first. She didn't give me a lot of details. So she told me she'd come back with the pictures because she lives in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And she said she would come back with the pictures. So she did. She came back to the booth with a packet of pictures. And this is where my jaw hit the floor and my spirit soared. And I just was over the moon because these were not just some photocopies or prints from the 1960s or 70s like I thought they might be of my grandfather's existing pictures. These are 20 original photo prints from the late 1800s, early 1900s, with dates on them like 1900 wedding photos, approximately the year 1900 and 1910. They are just beautiful, beautiful photos of my Stanford relatives and direct ancestors in many cases.
And the early ones. So what's your most prized one? You get 20 pictures in there. I'm sure they're they're like your children. How can you pick a favorite? But I'm going to make you pick one.
I'm looking at them now. My great-grandmother, yes, my great-grandmother, Elna Louise Phippen Stanford. I had a picture of her, but this picture, and some experts have told me this is one of those that's created from the negative. I forgot now in the moment what that's called, but it's just so crisp. Yes. So, well, the picture itself is just it's a print, but it was created probably in the around 1910 era. And it's just so crisp and clear. It's like my grandmother is here looking out. I just can't even express how this brings me close to my grandmother to see this picture in person, realize it was printed in her lifetime, and just see her kind and gentle and wise face.
Incredible.
I have also here a wedding picture dated 1900 of Thomas Stanford and Ida. It's their wedding. It's a beautiful picture. And I happen to know through family stories that it was this great Aunt Ida who introduced my grandfather and my grandmother. And I would not be here without this wonderful couple that I'm looking at, this beautiful
and
1900 wedding photo.
You haven't had any of these pictures before.
No,
you've never even seen them.
In most cases, a couple of them I've seen prints, but they were smaller ones that were tiny and blurry, or not as crisp. These are the originals. They're beautiful, and it's such a gift. And so my cousin Catherine, she said, I have already scanned these photos and put them on Family Search, but I wanted the originals to go to a Stanford family member. I also have another bonus, though. This is the one that just really warms my heart. She also brought a photocopy of a letter from my grandfather. It was actually to her grandmother. So he was corresponding with his cousin's wife about family history. And it's typewritten, 2 full pages of my grandfather. My grandfather was awesome, and I was 13 when he died, and I knew him, and he had a very unique and wonderful personality. But this letter just brings him to life. And I'd never seen this letter. No one in my family has seen this letter. It's dated 15th February, 1967. It's like a little message from my grandfather, and I'm just so excited and delighted to share this with my family. It's an absolute treasure.
Isn't this incredible? And all because of an app. Now, I know that you're a business development manager there at Family Search. Was this app part of your department?
It was not. These were some awesome colleagues that created this in the mobile department, Todd Powell, and I had a chance to to talk to several of those team members on Todd's team. And in fact, I recorded a quick little message telling them about the story so I could tell them thank you for what they did with the app because I wanted them to understand what they had done. I will say, too, that as I worked at the booth, I saw this over and over. Nothing as dramatic as these wonderful photos, but I saw cousins, third, fourth, fifth, and beyond cousins connecting and just taking a selfie with each other and just sharing memories and, hey, did you know this family story? And just having that delight in connecting with another family member. So the app was a great success, and I am just over the moon about being able to have this rich family treasure that was given to me as a result of it.
She's Emily Stanford Schultz, the beneficiary of an incredible app at RootsTech. Great talking to you about it, Emily, and enjoy the pictures. Unbelievable.
Thank you very much.
But wait, that's not all. We have another interesting RootsTech experience I'm going to share with you coming up next as we talk preservation with our preservation authority, Tom Perry from tmcplace.com. Coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Well, Genies, my personal family history researcher who sends me new information day and night has sent me some incredible new records and newspaper stories lately. Hi, it's Fisher, and the name of that researcher, by the way, is myheritage.com. It's the hardest working service in genealogy, looking for records of your family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, even while you're sleeping. How does it work? MyHeritage uses hundreds of algorithms to match your ancestors to over 5 billion records from around the world, and with 97% accuracy. That means no more wasting time figuring out whether or not a match really is a match. I hear from listeners all the time who are shocked with how much information is accurately found and then passed along. And now MyHeritage will translate your ancestors' names into English or any other language you like from foreign records. In fact, it works with over 40 languages. No one else does this. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned researcher, you need myheritage.com.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've been working with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins or heirs to property. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476. Call now or register online to get a free estimate. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research. You enjoy the discoveries. legacytree.com.
We are back. It is America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and extremegenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. And what a great time we had at RootsTech. We've been talking about it a lot all through the show today because they're just some amazing experiences. And Tom Perry had a booth there, of course, our preservation authority from tmcplace.com. And he's on the line with us right now. From what are you, in a convention center in Atlanta?
Yeah, right after RootsTech, didn't have any time to catch my breath, was off to Atlanta.
All right. And then you're traveling, I think, out of the country next month, setting up your first international shop. That's going to be kind of fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. I mean, it's great. We have genies that are down in Mexico, and we're going to be helping them open up some places where they can get their memories preserved. So we've got some genies working with us, and we're going to open up a little place down there that will really be great for these people. They've got more years of memories than the U.S. has even existed.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
They want to chronicle, and everything from metal plates to old photographs and artifacts, just all kinds of things we're going to be able to scan and photograph and preserve them forever and ever and ever.
That is really awesome stuff. All right, Tom, well, let's talk about RootsTech a little bit because we set up a great meet and greet with so many of our Extreme Genes listeners and members of our Patrons Club, and they came to your booth. I think it was on Thursday at something like 1 o'clock during the conference. And This was really quite fun because we had a chance for everybody to participate in something that not many people get to do. And that is actually record on an Edison wax cylinder, because you have one of those old Edison recording machines. And occasionally, I guess you must get a wax cylinder in that you digitize for people with some ancestor's voice on it. And we got to actually see how it worked. How long have you had that machine?
Oh, good grief. We probably had this for at least, I'd say, 7 or 8 years. In fact, we have several of them. We have some that are recorders, some that are just players, and we have another one that all it does, it's, I guess, an eraser. It actually goes and skims off the wax and clears it off to make a new one. And it's interesting. We actually had one of our genies show up at our booth that has a wax cylinder that we now have in our possession that she wants it transferred.
No kidding. Does she know what's on it?
No, she doesn't. In fact, we were going to listen to it, and we think it's a commercial recording because she has no idea. That's usually what they are, but it's going to be fun to find out what it is. And it's interesting, too, like Alex, who is our technician that handles all of our wires for us and also all of our wax recordings. He says that there's different widths, almost like a record player, so different kinds play on different machines. So it's going to be kind of fun to get in this, find out what it is, and see what magic we can put on it.
Well, what's amazing is that Edison figured out some way to put a certain amount of tension on the record and playback, so it's pretty stable, but nonetheless, you can always hear a little bit of warble in it. And I was amazed by the experience, and also how old-timey it sounds no matter when you record it. I mean, it never sounded even new like we hear stuff today, right? You know, if you go in a studio today and record something, it still sounded old the moment it came off the machine.
That is so true. In fact, that's the thing that's really interesting about the market, because people think, oh, if it's new, we're doing it today, everything's going to sound like it's today's equipment. Not the case. Just like people that buy vinyl, they love the feel of vinyl. Then they find out that's available on CD. They buy the CD and they go, hey, this doesn't sound like my vinyl, even though it's taken from the same master.
Right.
And so then they go on eBay and find the vinyl so they can actually listen to the vinyl again, or transfer the vinyl to a CD, which is going to sound different than mastering it from the master to a CD.
Yeah, you're right. And the one thing I thought about with this, by the way, is how people actually had to shout into the machine, or at least be loud enough to be heard, because, let's face it, there's not a lot of dynamics with an Edison recording machine.
Oh, yeah, there's no amplitude buttons that we can turn up to increase the volume. It's basically like shouting in a hat, and it's you're making your own dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a lot of fun doing it. We got the crowd around it. We actually picked an old-timey, like 1890s era song to sing, and we're going to let everybody hear what we came up with coming up here in 3 minutes when we return on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities, and it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's top 10 tips for beginning genealogists from the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. Hey, we're back for our final segment of Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com for this week. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, with Tom Perry from tmcplace.com, our preservation authority, on location in a convention center in Atlanta. And Tom, we were just talking about recording on a wax cylinder. I guess they actually called this thing a phonograph back at the time because they didn't record on vinyl. They recorded on a cylinder, right? It's like a toilet paper tube coated in wax.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. They call everything a phonograph because that's basically what it was. Just like today you say automobile, and are you talking about a Ferrari or a Yugo? You know, they're all automobiles. So it was very generic when they said phonograph. But then when the record player came out, then they started actually using different names for different devices.
Sure.
Where back there, it was a catch-all.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's listen to this. This is a lot of fun because we had some Patron Club members involved. We had some Extreme Genies who had come to your booth for this experiment. And listen to how we sounded on an Edison wax cylinder at RootsTech. I think it was on March 3rd. Here we go.
Welcome to RootsTech 2018. This is Scott Fisher with the RootsTech Choir on March 1st, a Thursday, and we're all singing I'm Looking Over a Four-Leaf Clover. I'm looking over a four-leaf clover, what I overlooked before. One leaf is sunrise, the second is rain. Third is the roses that grow in the lane. No need explaining, the one remaining is somebody I adore. I'm looking over a four-leaf clover that I overlooked before. All right, very nice.
Isn't that fun, Tom? I am so glad we did that. And I think everybody enjoyed the experience and actually having to listen back one at a time through a little hose because there's no way to amplify it.
Exactly, and that was so fun about the whole thing. It's like they're listening and they know it's their own voice is singing, but yet it sounds like something that they found from their grandma or grandpa's.
So this is interesting. This machine was first released in 1887 by Thomas Edison, and then I guess he updated it again in 88. But the decade earlier, in June of 1878, Edison came out with these ideas for possible future uses for a phonograph. So the first thing was letter writing and all kinds of dictation without the aid of a stenographer. That makes sense, maybe like in the court. Phonographic books, which will speak to blind people without the effort on their part. We have that today. I mean, that's just so common. The teaching of elocution, reproduction of music, the family record, a registry of savings and reminiscences by family members in their own voices and the last words of dying persons. Boy, doesn't that apply to what we're into, right? What a visionary.
Oh, yeah.
music boxes and toys, clocks that should announce in articulate speech the time for going home, going to meals, and the like. Wow. I mean, this is almost like Alexa.
In fact, this guy was so advanced because the things that he created or talked about back then, we're doing them today. He was so forward-thinking.
Absolutely. Preservation of languages by exact reproduction of the manner of pronouncing, educational purposes, and connection with the telephone so as to make the telephone an auxiliary in the transmission of permanent and invaluable records instead of being the recipient of momentary and fleeting communication. And isn't it interesting that wax cylinders last longer than CDs do today?
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It was so nuts. Hey, we're running short on time here, Tom. Thank you again so much for allowing us the opportunity to record. Make sure you thank Alex for us because he did a great job. And coming up, by the way, in the next few weeks, we've got some more stories from RootsTech that are just going to be unbelievable for anybody to listen to. Thanks so much, Tom. Safe travels in your journey, and we will talk to you again next week.
My pleasure.
Hey, Genies, we ran a little long, so thanks for joining us. Talk to you again next week. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.